Have you ever felt your heart race, as if each second was laden with a ton of worries? Now imagine trying to explain that feeling to the people who matter most in your life. Right now, thousands are facing this challenge, searching for the right words, the right time, the right way. But what if I told you there's a path, an easier way through this dense forest of doubts and fears? Would you take the risk to turn that unease into dialogue? What if that conversation could be the beginning of a more shared life, no longer lonely, on the path to understanding and support? We know this might be a tough step, but you're not alone in this. We'll guide you through 5 steps to make this conversation as smooth and productive as possible. Ready to start? Then let's go. Ready to. First step, recognize your feelings. First and foremost, know that anxiety is a complex emotion and can be difficult to understand, but trying to express what you're feeling, be it through writing or some other means, can help clear your thoughts. You know, talking about anxiety is not easy. I've been in that position myself, feeling a whirlwind of emotions and not quite knowing how to deal with them. The first step, which was crucial for me, is to recognize my feelings. This means naming what I'm feeling, accepting that it's real, and understanding that it's okay to feel this way. Let me tell you something. Once, I was preparing for an important presentation. My heart was racing, my hands were sweating, and I just couldn't concentrate. At first, I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just nervousness, but when I stopped and really thought about what I was feeling, I realized it was anxiety. And you know what I did? I wrote about it. I took a journal and began describing everything I felt. This not only helped me understand my anxiety better, but also gave me a sense of relief, as if I was lifting a weight off my chest. Recognizing your feelings is like opening the door to deal with them healthily. It can be through writing like I did, talking to someone you trust, or even expressing yourself creatively. The important thing is not to ignore or suppress what you're feeling. Give yourself permission to explore these feelings without judgment. Now that we've talked about the importance of recognizing your feelings, you might be wondering, what next? What do I do with this understanding? Well, that's where our next step comes in. Step 2. Educate yourself about anxiety. After recognizing my feelings, the next step is to seek a better understanding of what anxiety is. Knowledge is power. Research anxiety to better understand what you're going through. This will not only give you the words to express your feelings more clearly, but can also help demystify what you're feeling for your parents. And look, this made a huge difference. Anxiety, I discovered, is more than just feeling nervous or stressed. It's a condition that can deeply affect our day-to-day life, influencing how we think, feel, and even how we act. I started by researching articles and blogs on the internet, reading books, watching videos from experts on the subject, and about people's experiences. I found out that anxiety has many faces. There's generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social phobia, among others. And each of these has its own symptoms and challenges. Knowing this helped me understand that what I was feeling was not just a phase or something I could simply get over without help. One example that struck me was reading about how breathing can be impacted by anxiety. I always thought my shortness of breath was just nervousness, but I learned that this is a common physical response to anxiety. Knowing this led me to explore breathing techniques that really helped relieve my symptoms. The most important thing I learned and want to share with you is that information is a powerful tool. Knowing the types of anxiety, understanding the symptoms, and the possible causes gave me a sense of control over what I was feeling. This doesn't mean that anxiety suddenly disappeared, but I felt more prepared to face it. Now that you understand a bit more about the importance of educating yourself about anxiety, you might be wondering, and how do I bring this up with my parents? It's a valid question, and the answer leads us to our next step. This part is crucial and can set the tone for the entire conversation. Let's discuss how to do this in the best way possible. Ready for the next step? Let's go. Step 3. Choose the right moment. After arming yourself with knowledge about anxiety, the next challenge is choosing the right moment to talk about it with your parents. The timing is crucial. Find a quiet moment, without rush, where you can talk without interruptions. This shows that the subject is important to you and deserves their full attention. This choice is more important than it might seem at first glance. You want a time when everyone is relatively relaxed and there's no rush to go to another commitment. After all, this isn't a conversation you want to have between the door and the road, right? I say this because I didn't have much information when I needed to talk about it. I remember choosing a Sunday afternoon. It was a calm day at home without many chores or distractions. My parents were in the living room reading and resting, which created the perfect environment for a serious conversation. It was a moment when I felt I had their full attention, which is crucial for discussing something as personal as anxiety. Choosing the moment also shows your parents, or whoever you wish to tell, whether it be an aunt, grandmother, friends, boyfriend, that the subject is important to you and deserves to be treated with total seriousness. It's not just another casual conversation, it's a time to share something very personal and significant. It can be tempting to wait for the perfect moment, but remember that more important than perfection is sincerity and the need to express what you're feeling. Another point to consider is your own state of mind. Choose a moment when you feel calm and prepared to discuss your feelings without being overwhelmed by them. This can help keep the conversation constructive and prevent anxiety from taking over at the moment. Now, after choosing the right moment, how do you start this conversation? How do you express something so complex and sometimes confusing even to yourself? Well, that's where our next step comes in. It's time to gather courage and open your heart, knowing it's an important step for your well-being. Let's talk about how to do this in the best way in the next step. Ready to continue? Let's go. Step 4. Be clear and direct. Once you've chosen the ideal moment, the next step is to communicate your feelings clearly and directly. This might seem daunting. After all, opening up about something so personal is not easy, but clarity is your greatest ally at this time. There's no need to use complicated terms or try to overly soften what you feel. Be honest and direct about your experience. When I approached my parents, I started with a simple sentence. Mom, Dad, I've been going through a tough time and have been feeling a lot of anxiety lately. This direct opening helped set the tone of the conversation and showed the seriousness of the subject. You don't need to have all the answers, but expressing what you feel is a great start. Don't try to skirt around the subject or disguise it as something less than it is. Your vulnerability in this case is a strength, not a weakness. It's possible that your parents may not fully understand what anxiety is or how it affects you. Therefore, being prepared to explain, using the knowledge you've gained, can be very helpful. You can describe how you feel physically and emotionally, and perhaps even give examples of situations that have triggered your anxiety. This can help them better understand what you're going through. Remember, the goal here is not just to inform them, but also to open a channel of communication. You want them to understand as much as possible your experience, and for this, being direct is essential. But it's also important to be receptive to their reactions and questions. They may need time to process what you're saying, and that's normal. After opening your heart and sharing your feelings, the natural next step is to ask for support. But how do you do this without seeming like you're just looking for sympathy or attention? How do you express the need for help in a way that positively engages them in your journey? Are you ready for this next crucial step? Let's go. Step 5. Ask for support. Finally, don't be afraid to ask for support. Be specific about how they can help you, even if it's just by listening. Remember, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. After sharing your experience clearly and directly, the time finally comes to ask for support. This can vary greatly from person to person, depending on what you think would be most helpful for you at this moment. Don't be afraid to ask for support. Support can come in various forms: a conversation, accompanying you to appointments with a professional, or even just understanding and acknowledging your situation. When I spoke to my parents, I said something like, I would really appreciate it if we could find a professional together, someone I can talk about what I'm feeling with. This made it clear that I was seeking a solution and valued their involvement in this process. It's important to be specific about the type of support you're looking for. This helps your parents understand better how they can contribute positively to your well-being. You might just want them to listen when you need to talk, Or perhaps you want them to accompany you on a more structured path to seeking professional help. Whatever your request, expressing it clearly can make all the difference. It's also crucial to recognize that your parents may have varied reactions. They might feel worried, sad, or even guilty for not having noticed earlier. Remember, the conversation is as much about sharing your feelings as it is about creating space for them to express theirs. Mutual empathy can strengthen your relationship. And if for some reason your parents don't respond in the way you expected, don't be discouraged. This doesn't mean they don't care. It might just be a matter of them needing time to process the information or learning how they can be more helpful. And remember, there are many types of support available, from friends and family to professionals and support groups. Asking for support is an act of courage and an important step in taking care of yourself. It opens the door to help and understanding, and although it may seem like a big step, it is a move towards your health and well-being. And now, after sharing all this with you, I sincerely hope you feel more prepared and confident to take this step. Anxiety is a challenge, yes, but with the right people by your side, you don't have to face it alone. Your well-being is important, and asking for help is your right. Good luck, and know that there is always light, even in the darkest moments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and share. And for more content like this, subscribe to the channel. Dr. Anxiety is signing off. Bye-bye.